Hi, this video is going to go over the 5 basic human survival needs. So humans have been on this planet for a really long time, but we are very specific in the things that we need in order for us to survive. And even though we've adapted over and over millions of years to the environment, there are still some basic things that have to happen in order for us to be able to survive. Sometimes textbooks narrow it down to 4 human survival needs instead of 5. Sometimes there's 6, so we're kind of just taking the average, but you'll get the general idea. The first thing that all humans need is nutrients. So a nutrient is a substance in a food or a beverage that is essential to human survival. So we need nutrients for energy. We need nutrients to maintain our cells structurally and functionally. There are 3 basic classes of nutrients. There's macronutrients, which would be like carbohydrates, fats, lipids. There's micronutrients, which would be vitamins and minerals. And then there are water is considered a nutrient. The next one is body temperature. Humans can only survive in a very limited range of temperature. So we need our body temperature to be about 98 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is the ideal temperature for chemical reactions to take place. Our skeletal muscles are going to generate most of the heat needed to get to this 98 degrees. However, there's a range, obviously, where we can function relatively safely. If we get too low, though, if we get too high out of that range, then all of a sudden we're going to have issues in our ability to survive. Our bodies can respond really well for short-term periods of time of cold or heat. So if you walk outside on a negative 30-degree day, wind's blowing in your face, to get from one building to the next in between classes, your body's going to be able to elicit a response to make it okay. However, it won't be able to sustain that over a very long period of time without homeostasis being disrupted. Oxygen is the next basic survival need. Atmospheric air is only about 20% oxygen, but it is required for our ability to survive. It is a key component for the chemical reactions that release energy from food. So without oxygen, we don't have energy, and without energy, our cells and our tissues and our muscles and our organs aren't going to be able to function. Next is water. Water provides a liquid environment necessary for chemical reactions, and it's a fluid environment needed for secretions and excretions. So it plays a really important role. Water sometimes is kind of lumped in with nutrients because it is considered one of the 3 major nutrients, but I think it's kind of important to label that. If you have too much water, your homeostasis is disrupted. If you have too little water, your homeostasis is disrupted. So it's really important to be able to maintain the proper fluid levels inside of your body. And the last one is atmospheric pressure. We can only live in a very narrow range of atmospheric pressure. So pressure is a force exerted by a substance that comes into contact with another substance. And so atmospheric pressure actually is the pressure exerted by the mixture of gases onto the Earth's atmosphere. And you might not actually feel that pressure. All the gases floating around us are pressing on our body. You might probably don't feel that. You're pretty acclimated to that. But there is definitely a change of pressure on the outside of us than there is on the inside. And this difference in pressure actually drives our ability to breathe. And that's why if you go up into a mountain and the atmospheric pressure starts to decrease, we struggle with that breathing process because the difference between the outside and the inside gets smaller and air isn't able to be pulled in or pulled out quite as easily. So there's a very limited range in which we can survive under atmospheric pressure. This is one of the reasons why people climb Mount Everest, there are deaths that occur because the atmospheric pressure is so incredibly low that in some cases people can't survive or adapt to that in a way that needs to be. So these are just the 5 basic human survival needs, things that human needs in order to continue with life-sustaining processes. Our bodies typically can adapt to disruption, short-term disruptions in any of these categories. However, long-term disruptions would lead to death. Questions? Then don't hesitate to ask.